I used to think my life was boring in the best possible way. I had a stable job, a fiance I loved, and a wedding on the horizon. I thought I was walking straight into the kind of future everyone dreams about, one where the hardest question I'd ever have to answer was what kind of flowers to put on the reception tables. But life has a way of ripping the ground out from beneath you when you least expect it. And what I discovered one sleepless night nearly destroyed everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and family. Let me start from the beginning. Her name was Anna, my fiancée. To me, she was perfect, or at least I thought she was. She had this magnetic charm that drew people in instantly, and I was no exception. When she agreed to marry me, I felt like the luckiest man alive. For over a year, we'd been pouring time, money, and energy into planning our dream wedding. Every detail was carefully crafted. The venue, the guest list, the food, the music. We were on the same page about everything, and I truly believed we were building the foundation for a lifetime together. And then, right when everything seemed set in stone, Anna's younger sister, Emily, entered the picture. Emily was in a rough place. She'd just gone through a nasty breakup, lost her apartment, and was essentially adrift. Anna, being the caring sister she was, suggested Emily move in with us temporarily. I didn't argue. I wanted to support her too. And besides, family helps family, right? That's what I believed. At first, it wasn't a problem. Emily was quiet, polite, and seemed genuinely grateful to have a place to stay. But almost immediately, I began to notice the closeness between Anna and Emily was different. It wasn't the usual sisterly bond. They were whispering together constantly, sometimes bursting into laughter when I walked into the room, only to fall silent the moment they saw me. They stayed up late in Anna's room, doors closed, voices low. I told myself I was overthinking it. Paranoia. They were sisters. Of course they'd be close. But the unease never fully went away. In fact, it grew. It wasn't just the whispering. It was the way Anna began treating me. Small things at first. She seemed distracted, like her attention was always somewhere else. She guarded her phone more closely. She was quick to snap at me for asking harmless questions, then would brush it off with, "You're just being controlling." Those words stung because I wasn't controlling. At least, I didn't think I was. The turning point came one night around 2 a.m. I woke up to an odd sound. Soft murmurs, almost like a conversation happening just a room away. My first thought was that maybe the TV had been left on, but when I turned to check beside me, the bed was empty. Anna wasn't there. My stomach knotted. Something was wrong. I slipped quietly out of the bedroom, careful not to make a sound. The voices were clearer now, coming from the living room. As I crept closer, I could hear Emily's nervous tone and Anna's low whisper. My pulse hammered in my ears. I rounded the corner, and that's when I froze. Anna was sitting on the couch, and in her hand was a phone. Not just her phone. It was my phone. Emily sat beside her, leaning in, eyes darting nervously toward the hallway, almost like she was on lookout duty. My heart dropped. Why was Anna holding my phone at 2 in the morning, with her sister beside her like a partner in crime? I stood there in shock, my mind racing 1,000 miles a minute. I felt like an intruder in my own home. And when Anna finally noticed me, her reaction wasn't what I expected. There was no guilt in her eyes, no apology spilling from her lips. Instead, she glared at me with this sharp, venomous anger. "What are you doing sneaking around like that?" For a moment, I couldn't even process what she said. Sneaking around? I wasn't the one rifling through someone else's phone in the dead of night. My own fiancée was going through my device with her sister acting like her partner in crime. And somehow, I was the problem? I wanted to demand answers, to shout, to rip the phone out of her hands and see exactly what she'd been digging through. But my body betrayed me. I just stood there, frozen, my thoughts spiraling into a storm of dread. And in that instant, one thing became clear. Something was very, very wrong. This wasn't just about Emily needing a place to stay. This wasn't about late-night sisterly bonding. There was something deeper here. Something rotten that I couldn't see yet, but I could feel it pressing against me like a weight on my chest. And in that moment, for the first time in my relationship, I felt truly afraid of the truth. That night didn't end with Anna giving me an explanation. In fact, it barely ended at all. When I confronted her, she snapped at me like I was some kind of intruder in my own life. She accused me of being paranoid, insecure, and controlling, all while holding my phone in her hands at 2 in the morning, with Emily sitting there like a guilty shadow. I didn't sleep after that. Anna stormed back into the bedroom, slammed the phone on the nightstand, and rolled over with her back to me. Emily disappeared into the guest room, and I just lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, my chest tight, my thoughts spiraling. What could she have been looking for? What was so important that she had to involve her sister in snooping through my private messages? I wasn't hiding anything. My life was an open book, or at least I thought it was. But the way she looked at me, the hostility in her eyes, it was like she knew something I didn't. The next morning, Anna acted like nothing happened. She made coffee, chatted about wedding details, scrolled through her phone casually as if she hadn't just shattered my trust the night before. And Emily? She avoided my eyes completely, moving around the house like a ghost. The whole thing was surreal, and I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. I tried to push the unease down. I told myself maybe I'd misinterpreted things. Maybe she really was just paranoid about me hiding something. But the more I tried to convince myself, the louder that gut feeling screamed, "No, something is wrong." Days turned into weeks, and the tension only grew. Anna became colder, more distant. Every little thing I did seemed to annoy her. She accused me of being absent, of not caring about her feelings, of putting myself first. These weren't arguments we used to have. It was like I was living with a stranger. Emily's presence didn't help either. She and Anna were practically inseparable. They whispered. They exchanged glances when they thought I wasn't looking. And more than once, I walked into a room only for the conversation to die instantly. My paranoia wasn't paranoia anymore. It was a constant, gnawing suspicion that something was being hidden from me. One night, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until Anna and Emily had gone to bed, and I picked up Anna's phone from the kitchen counter. My hands were trembling as I opened it, praying I was wrong, praying I wouldn't find anything. What I found didn't give me peace. There were no incriminating texts, no secret messages from another guy, but there was a locked photo album. I tapped it, only to be prompted for a password. I tried a birthday, I tried mine, I even tried Emily's. Nothing. My chest felt tight, my head spinning with possibilities. Why would she lock a photo album? Why would she hide it from me? The next morning, Anna noticed her phone had been moved. I'll never forget the way she looked at me. Cold, calculating, almost triumphant. She said, "You don't trust me, do you?" Like she already knew the answer. I wanted to scream that trust is earned, that she was the one breaking it. But instead, I just stood there, the words caught in my throat. That's when Emily spoke up for the first time in days. "Maybe you should just tell him," she whispered. "Tell me what?" My head snapped toward them, my heart thundering. But Anna silenced her with a sharp glare, and Emily shrank back instantly. At that moment, I knew without a doubt there was a secret. Something they both knew, something that had been festering right under my nose, and I wasn't supposed to find out. From then on, everything in the house felt poisonous. Meals were silent, arguments flared out of nowhere,
and that locked album haunted me like a ticking bomb. What was in there? Why was Anna keeping it from me? And why did Emily look at me sometimes with eyes full of guilt, like she wanted to say something but couldn't? I was living in my own home like a stranger, tiptoeing around two women who were hiding something massive. The woman I was supposed to marry was slipping further away every single day, and I didn't know how much longer I could take it. And then, the truth started to unravel in the ugliest way imaginable.
I couldn't shake it anymore. The feeling that my entire life was hanging by a thread. The tension with Anna and Emily was unbearable. Every time I walked into a room, they'd go quiet. Every time I asked a direct question, I got vague answers or cold stares. My wedding day was creeping closer, but instead of excitement, I felt like I was walking toward a cliff blindfolded. Then, it happened. The night everything cracked open. It was late, close to midnight. I had been tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Anna wasn't in bed. Again. My chest tightened with dread as I got up and followed the faint glow coming from the guest room, Emily's room. I inched closer, careful not to make a sound. The door was slightly ajar, and what I saw on the other side froze my blood. Anna and Emily were sitting on the floor, backs against the bed, whispering furiously. Between them was Anna's phone, the screen glowing faintly. And there it was, that same locked photo album. But this time, it was open. I couldn't see everything, but I caught enough. A photo flashed on the screen, Anna smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. But she wasn't alone. Her arm was around someone. Not Emily. Not a friend, a man. Another picture, Anna kissing him. Another, her in a hotel room, lingerie scattered on the bed. My head was spinning, bile rising in my throat. It wasn't just cheating, it was a double life. Emily must have noticed me first because she gasped and snatched the phone away. Anna whipped her head around, and when she saw me standing there in the doorway, the color drained from her face. For a moment, the room was dead silent. Just the three of us, frozen in place, like animals caught in headlights. "Who is he?" I demanded, my voice shaking with a rage I could barely contain. Anna didn't answer. She didn't even deny it. She just looked at me like she'd been caught stealing, and for the first time in our entire relationship, she had no excuse ready. Emily broke down first. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she covered her face with her hands. "I told you this would happen," she cried. I turned to her, my heart pounding. "You knew?" My voice cracked, part anger, part heartbreak. "You knew this whole time and you said nothing?" Anna stood up slowly, her expression hardening into something cold, almost cruel. "I was going to tell you," she said flatly. "Just not this way." "Not this way?" I laughed bitterly. "You were sneaking around with another man behind my back, planning to marry me while you—" My voice caught. I couldn't even finish the sentence. Emily tried to cut in, her voice trembling. "It wasn't supposed to go this far. She thought she loved him, but—" "Shut up, Emily," Anna snapped, her voice slicing through the air like a blade. That was it. The confirmation. No more excuses, no more pretending I was paranoid. My fiancée, the woman I was supposed to spend my life with, had been betraying me in the worst possible way. But what made it even worse? Emily knew. She had been covering for her sister. She had watched me lose my mind, second-guess my instincts, torture myself with suspicion, all while knowing the truth.
I felt like the walls were closing in. The life I had built, the love I thought I had, the family I thought I was marrying into, it all collapsed in a single sickening moment. Anna tried to reach for me, her voice suddenly soft, almost pleading. Please let me explain. It's not what you think. Not what I think? I just saw the pictures, Anna. Do you think I'm stupid? Emily was sobbing now, but I couldn't even look at her. My entire world had just imploded, and I didn't know where to aim the pain. At Anna for betraying me, or at Emily for helping her keep it hidden? I turned and walked out, slamming the door behind me so hard the frame rattled. My chest felt like it was splitting open, every breath sharp and shallow. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew one thing for sure. The wedding was over. The future I had imagined was dead. And the woman I thought I knew, she was nothing but a stranger. But the nightmare wasn't over. Because the more I dug into the truth, the darker it became.
I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. My entire body was on fire. My chest, tight like a vice, was crushing me from the inside. I sat in my car outside the house, staring at the dark windows, wondering how the hell my life had spiraled into this nightmare. One day I was a groom-to-be, planning a future with the woman I loved. The next, I was sitting in the cold silence, realizing that future was nothing more than a carefully crafted lie. By the time the sun rose, I had made a decision. The wedding was off. There was no way in hell I could stand up in front of family and friends, smile for pictures, and pretend everything was okay when I had just watched my fiancé's entire betrayal flash across her phone screen. But walking away wasn't going to be simple. When I went back inside, Anna was waiting for me in the living room. Her eyes were red, her face pale, but she wasn't crying. Not anymore. She looked cold, like the mask had finally slipped, and now I was staring at a version of her I had never seen before. "We need to talk," she said, her voice flat. I laughed bitterly. Talk? After what I saw, what's left to talk about? She folded her arms, defensive. "You don't understand the full story." "Then explain it to me," I shot back, my voice trembling with rage. "Explain why you've been sneaking around behind my back. Explain why your little sister has been covering for you like some twisted partner in crime. Explain why the person I trusted most in this world has been living a double life." Her jaw clenched, her eyes narrowing like I was the one who had betrayed her. "It just happened," she muttered. "It just happened?" I barked out a laugh so hollow it hurt. "Cheating on me wasn't some accident, Anna. You don't just trip and fall into another man's bed." Emily came down the stairs then, her face blotchy from crying all night. She wouldn't meet my eyes. She looked broken, but in that moment I had no sympathy left for her. She could have told me. She could have stopped this, but she didn't. "Please," Emily whispered, her voice shaking. Don't tell Mom and Dad. Don't ruin everything." I snapped. "Don't ruin everything? Your sister already did that. She ruined me. She ruined us. She ruined everything we built." The words came out like a scream, raw and jagged, and for the first time I saw fear flicker across Anna's face. Not regret, not shame. Fear. Fear of exposure, of losing control over the perfect image she had painted for everyone else. "You think people are going to take your side?" I said, my voice low and dangerous now. "You think they're going to look at me and blame me? No, I'm done covering for you. Everyone is going to know exactly who you really are." That's when she snapped.
If you ruin this for me, I'll make sure you regret it. I'll tell everyone you're unstable, paranoid, abusive, whatever it takes. No one will believe you." The room spun. I couldn't believe the venom spilling from her mouth. The woman I had loved, the woman I had planned to marry, was treating me like I was some disposable obstacle standing in her way. Emily sobbed harder, begging us both to stop, but I couldn't hear her anymore. My ears were ringing, my hands shaking. I didn't even recognize Anna in that moment. She wasn't my fiancée. She wasn't the woman I loved. She was a stranger wearing her face. I grabbed my keys and walked out, for good this time. The hours that followed were a blur. I called my best friend, my voice breaking as I tried to explain what had happened. He didn't even let me finish. He said, "Come over, now." When I got there, he listened in stunned silence as I poured everything out. And when I was done, he shook his head in disbelief. "Man, you just dodged a bullet. It hurts like hell right now, but trust me, you just saved yourself years of misery." He was right. Deep down, I knew he was right, but the pain was still unbearable. I had lost not just Anna, but the future I thought I had, the home we had built together, the family I thought I was joining. Everything had gone up in flames overnight. And yes, as I sat there in his apartment, staring blankly at the floor, I knew the nightmare wasn't finished. Anna wasn't the type to let things go quietly. She had threatened me, and I believed her. The battle wasn't over. It was just beginning.
I thought walking away would end the nightmare, that once I cut Anna out of my life, I could finally breathe again. But I underestimated her. I underestimated just how far she was willing to go to protect her image and to destroy mine. 2 days after I left, the phone calls started. At first, it was just my mom, confused and worried. She asked me why Anna had called her crying, saying I had abandoned her, that I was unstable, that I had been verbally abusive for months. I nearly dropped my phone in disbelief. "She said what?" I asked, my voice trembling. "She sounded terrified," my mom whispered. "Son, tell me the truth. Is it true?" My blood boiled. Anna wasn't just lying, she was rewriting our entire relationship. And the worst part, she was convincing. She knew exactly what to say, how to twist reality, how to play the victim. Then came the messages from friends, people I'd known for years suddenly asking if I was okay, if I needed help, if I'd been getting treatment. Treatment! That's what she was spreading now, that I was mentally unstable, that I wasn't in control of myself. It felt like drowning. Every time I tried to defend myself, it sounded like desperation. And Anna, she was calm, collected, and manipulative as hell. The more I pushed back, the more it looked like she was right. And then she went after my job. One morning, my boss called me into his office, holding his phone with this grim look on his face. "We received some concerning information," he said carefully. Apparently, Anna had sent an anonymous email claiming I had violent tendencies and serious anger issues. She framed it as a warning out of concern for the company. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to scream, to tear the walls down, to expose her for what she really was. But all I could do was sit there, heart pounding, while my boss studied me like I was some kind of threat. That's when I realized something terrifying. She wasn't just trying to ruin the relationship. She was trying to ruin me, my reputation, my career, my future. If she couldn't control me, she was going to destroy me. I hit my lowest point after that. There were nights I just sat in the dark, staring at nothing, wondering if maybe she'd win. Maybe she'd take everything from me, and I'd just be another broken man in her story. But then, something shifted. I remembered the videos, the evidence, the texts I had saved, the photos I had taken of her sneaking out, the screenshots of her late-night conversations, even the recordings of her threatening me.
I had been so focused on the pain that I had forgotten the power I still had. So I fought back. I showed everything to my closest friends first, the ones who had started to believe her lies. I watched their faces change from doubt to shock to anger as the truth came out. One by one, people started coming back to my side. And then I went bigger. I told my parents. I told Anna's family. I showed them all the proof. The reaction was explosive. Her parents were devastated. Emily couldn't even look me in the eye. She just broke down crying, admitting she had known it was wrong but had gone along with it anyway. And Anna? For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. No spin, no lies, just silence. It didn't fix everything. The wedding was gone, my trust was shattered, and I was still piecing my life back together. But I had my dignity. I had the truth, and I wasn't going to let her bury me under her lies. In the end, I realized something important. Sometimes the person you think you're building a life with is actually the person who will burn it all down. Sometimes love isn't just blind, it's dangerous. I walked away for good this time, not just from Anna, but from the version of myself that would have let her destroy me. And as painful as it was, I finally understood. Losing her wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was the best escape I could ever have asked for.